I met Louise in high school. We were both in the same year, and it felt like we were made for each other. She was the kind of girl everyone wanted to be friends with, smart, funny, down to earth. We clicked immediately, and from the moment we started dating, it was clear we were in it for the long haul. After graduation, we both went to college, and after that, we settled into a comfortable life together. We got married young, but we were ambitious and determined to build a future. Our life was never extraordinary. We didn't live in a mansion or drive fancy cars, but we had everything we needed. I worked a steady job, one I've held for over 30 years now. It wasn't the most glamorous work, but it paid well, and I had good benefits and a solid pension plan. Louise, on the other hand, became a school teacher. She was dedicated to her students, the heart of our family, and everything she did was centered around creating a stable, healthy home for us. We had 2 kids, Emily, our eldest, who was now in her 20s and living on her own, and Daniel, our youngest, who was 8. We lived a simple life, but it was fulfilling. We were happy, or at least that's what I thought. Everything changed when Louise hit her 40s. At first, it was small stuff. She started exercising more, running regularly, and watching what she ate. Nothing too unusual, I thought. We'd always been healthy, but this felt like a new level of dedication. She was becoming more obsessed with staying in shape, with getting fitter and more toned, and I didn't think much of it at first. It wasn't anything drastic, just a little more focus on fitness. I supported her, encouraged her, because she was happy. But it didn't stop there. It wasn't long before she started experimenting with supplements, diet pills, fat burners, all those things that promise you'll get the perfect body. I was skeptical, but she seemed to be enjoying it, and I didn't want to make a fuss. Then she met Sarah. Sarah was a friend from Louise's book club, someone I'd never paid much attention to until Louise started spending more time with her. Sarah was a former TV personality, stunningly beautiful, and had this flawless, almost otherworldly appearance. She looked like she had stepped out of some magazine cover, and soon enough, Louise was completely captivated by her. Sarah was everything Louise admired, wealthy, well-maintained, and with an unshakable confidence that came from knowing she looked perfect. Sarah became her mentor in the world of plastic surgery. It started with Botox. Just a little here and there, she'd say. I didn't think it was a big deal, nothing too serious, just a touch-up to keep the wrinkles away. But then the changes started to get more obvious. One day, Louise came home after a weekend away with Sarah looking different. Her face had a sharper look to it, tighter, like she'd had a facelift. She was radiant, but there was something unsettling about it. I told myself I was overreacting. It was just a cosmetic thing. She was getting older, like all of us, and I figured she just wanted to stay looking young. But this was more than just trying to look good. This was about changing who she was, piece by piece. At first, it wasn't too bad. She'd gotten Botox, a facelift, and maybe a tummy tuck. But soon it wasn't enough. Louise started spending more time with Sarah, who had already gone much further with surgeries. Sarah's obsession with her appearance, her constant need to get the next procedure, was rubbing off on Louise. Louise got a Brazilian butt lift, an extreme surgery, even by cosmetic standards. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but I tried to be supportive. Then came the drinking. It started out innocently enough, just a glass of wine after work, a way to unwind. But it didn't take long before it turned into bottles, sometimes 2 or 3 in a night. Louise would come home, tired from work or from her surgeries, and reach straight for the wine. I wasn't used to seeing her like this. She used to be the woman who had everything under control, always calm, always focused. Now she was starting to slip. The more she drank, the more her behavior changed. When she was drunk, she'd become a completely different person, volatile, bitter, and cruel. It was like the alcohol unlocked something inside her that had been buried for years. One night, after a few too many glasses of wine, she started ranting. She told me I had held her back in life, that she could have been more than just a school teacher. She could have been famous, a singer even, if I hadn't gotten in the way. I was shocked. I didn't know how to respond. She accused me of stealing her youth, of being the reason she never got to live her dream. It hit me hard. These were words I never thought I'd hear from her. She wasn't the woman I married anymore. I wanted to help her, but I didn't know how. Every time I tried, she pushed me away. The more I tried to reach out, the more she lashed out at me. And then there was the way she looked at herself in the mirror. It wasn't just about being healthy anymore. It was about something deeper, something darker. She was obsessed with perfection, and nothing was ever enough. She wasn't just changing her body, she was changing herself. I tried to stay strong, tried to be the man I thought she needed, but the more she became consumed by her appearance, the more distant she grew. She wasn't the woman I married anymore. The woman I loved was slowly being replaced by someone I didn't recognize. I couldn't help but feel like I was losing her, piece by piece. One evening, after yet another fight about her surgeries and drinking, I couldn't take it anymore. I felt like I was watching her spiral, unable to do anything to stop it. I still loved her, but I was terrified of what she was becoming. The final straw came when she yelled at me again, telling me that I had ruined her life. She accused me of being the reason she never got to live her dreams. She said I had stolen her youth, that she could have been a star, but instead she was stuck here with me in this miserable life. I knew then that I had to leave. I wasn't doing either of us any favors by staying. The woman I loved, the woman who was my partner for all those years, was gone. She had become a monster, addicted to surgeries, addicted to alcohol, and completely consumed by her need for perfection. I couldn't stay any longer, not when it was no longer safe for me or for our children. I moved out, taking Daniel with me. Emily had already moved out, and I was determined not to let her grow up in this toxic environment. It wasn't easy to leave, not when I still loved her, not when I still remembered the woman she used to be, but I knew it was the right thing to do. Even after I left, Louise didn't stop. Her addiction to surgery and alcohol continued to spiral. I kept checking in on her, hoping for some sign that she wanted to change, but it never came. Instead, she kept getting more surgeries, more procedures. Her health began to deteriorate. Her face, once so familiar to me, was now foreign. She had become a stranger. I decided to return one last time. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could talk things through. Maybe I could help her one last time. But when I got there, I found that she had become someone completely unrecognizable. She was drunk again, more than usual, and when she saw me, she didn't try to hide her anger. She told me I was weak, that I'd abandoned her when she needed me most. There was no conversation to be had, no reconciliation. The woman I had known was gone. That was it. I filed for divorce. It wasn't just for me, it was for Daniel too. I couldn't let him grow up in this environment. I still hoped that Louise would find herself, that she would somehow snap out of the fog she was in. But deep down, I knew she was lost. As I walked away from the life we had built together, I felt a mixture of sadness and relief. I still loved the woman I married, but I couldn't love the person she had become. And so I walked away. For my own sanity, for my son's well-being, and for the hope that maybe someday Louise would find herself again. But I couldn't save her. She had to save herself.